Hey, what is up, my geeks? Parker here, and today, I'm really sorry, guys. I have been meaning to upload. I haven't gotten a chance recently, but this is gonna be my first video. Since I don't even remember when the last time I was that I uploaded, but it's gonna be the first time I've uploaded in a while for sure. But I'm hoping to get back into my normal upload schedule. Now, this is going to be a Spigot slash bucket tutorial on how to make a plugin. I have been coding. If you didn't already know, I have been coding for quite some time. I've been coding for maybe 2 or 3 years now, I would say. What I'm gonna do in this tutorial is the first few videos are going to be probably just the very basics. All right, of plugin development. In this, I'm going to be going over. In the first video, I'm going to be going over environment setup, build path, and just everything you need to do to get it set up and how to run a basic plugin. And in following videos, I will probably do more advanced stuff. Starting out, this first video, you will not need to know Java anything. You will not need to know anything about code whatsoever. All you need to do is what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be using Eclipse. I will have an install link for that in the description below. We are going to be doing in this first episode is I'm not going to be going over the install of Eclipse, by the way. I should probably mention that. You guys can handle that. There's nothing really special that you need to do with that. Just install it. I'll put a link to it down below, and you guys should be all good. And then, yeah, that's really all that you guys need to have set up before we get into this. So I'm going to go ahead and start. Alrighty, guys. Now, so when you open up Eclipse, it's going to look something like this, like what I have on screen right now. You'll see a little welcome screen like this, and all of these little options that you can have here. So you can go through all these little, like they have tutorials on here, samples. They've got a little create a hello world application. Those are all definitely really useful, and I recommend that you try those out. But for the sake of this tutorial, I am not going to be going over that. I'm just going to be going over the project setup for what we are doing right now. What you're going to want to do is go into File, and then New, and then Java Project, and then click on that one. And then it's going to come up with a little thing like this. What I'm going to do is call it Tutorial. You can call it whatever you want, but that's just basically, it won't be the name of your plugin, but it'll just be the name of, it'll just be what it displays as within your editor. You don't really need to touch anything else in here unless you know what you're doing with that. And then click Finish. If it doesn't close out for you, just close out of this welcome screen here. And then it should come up to a screen like this, but you can instantly tell my editor is not the same as yours. So what I have is called the dark theme in the background. It's called dark theme, and how you can access that is you're going to want to go into Window and then Preferences. And then once you're in that, it'll come up with this little window here. And then you can go into General, and there's a little drop-down menu there. And then Appearance, and then click on Appearance. And then you can set your theme. I believe the default is light. So I'm just going to have it set to dark. I recommend that you do that as well. It highlights text better, and it's a lot easier on the eyes. So what we're going to do now is if we click on Tutorial here, it'll open a little drop-down menu, and you can see our source file is right here. So we're going to make a new source file, a new package. We're going to right-click on the source folder, which is the little thing that says src. We're going to click New and then Package. Okay, and then it'll bring up this little window here. And so what we're going to do now is we're going to create a package, and this is what's going to store our plugin. This is where all of our Java code is going to go. What this does, how to make a package name. So like, let's say I was writing a plugin. I was a Microsoft developer. I would do com.microsoft.tutorial. Now, that is what the package name would look like, because it is Microsoft.com, which is their domain, their online domain, and then the tutorial, so .tutorial, which is the plugin name. So obviously, do not work for Microsoft, and I do not have an online domain. If you do not have an online domain, what you're going to do is instead of com, you're going to put me. So I would do me.paularacker.tutorial. And there we go. And there we have our package name. You can check this little box that says create package info.java. Leave it checked or unchecked. It doesn't really matter. And then you can click finish. And then it will generate our package here. I'm just going to delete this package info.java. I don't really need that. So you'll see a little thing come up like this. You're going to right click on the package and then click new and then class. Okay? And then it's really important here. You're gonna call it main with a capital M, main, and then click finish. Do not touch anything else in here. Just don't. Unless you know what you're doing and you want something specific. Just do not mess with anything in this menu. And then you're gonna want to click finish. And that is now open. So you can see we have our package name here, and then public class main right there. Now, what we're going to need to do now is what's called configuring the build path of our. We need to configure the build path of our plugin. Basically, what that does is it adds the libraries and code and such that the plugin needs to operate. So what we need to do is right click on your project and then go down to properties and then open that up. And then you're going to want to go into Java build path, and then you'll see here it comes up with this little menu, and then you're going to want to click on add external jars and then select your jar. So I'm going to do that right now. All right, so once you've done that, it should look like this, and then you can click apply and close. So now you can see we have this little drop down that says reference libraries, and Spigot 1.11.2 jar is in there. So now this is where the coding starts right here. So we are going to right where it says public class main, right after that, we're going to put extends Java plugin, just like that. And then you can see this little error that comes up right under here. You can hover over that and then click import right there. Or what you can also do is click on it and then click Command-Shift-O. And either way, it does the exact same thing. That will import a special part of the jar into what we need to code. So now we're going to do public void on enable, just like that, and then put brackets. So anything within this loop is what is going to be running when we start our plugin. So we can also do public void on disable, and it just works like that. And this works the exact same way, but it's the opposite, if that makes any sense. What that is going to do is anything that is in this on-enable loop is going to run when the plugin is starting up, and anything that is in this on-disable loop is going to run when the plugin is being shut down. So a common misconception with Java plugins is that you need this part right here. You need the on-disable loop. You do not. It's not required, and I will not be putting it in for this particular plugin. Now, what we're going to do here for this is just we're going to print a line to console of text of our choice. And so what we're going to do here is I'm going to, when my plugin starts up, I want it to say something like, my plugin's enabled. All right. So what we're going to do for that is do system system.out.print line, and then parentheses. And then in here, put your text in quotations. This here is called a string, and you can see it's called a string. String is basically text within quotations, and that's what defines it as a string, is what is and is not within quotations. So we're just going to say within this, we're going to say right in here, our plugin is enabled. Okay, so there you have that. So now what we need to do is we need to create what's called a plugin.yml. And this is basically what just tells the plugin what to do and where to run it. So what you're going to do is right-click on your project name, go into New, and then File. Okay, so in file name down here, we're going to call it plugin.yml. And just make sure it's very specifically plugin.yml, or your plugin is not going to work correctly. So once we've done that, we can click Finish, and mine opens up in here because I have it set up into Notepad++, which is a really good text editor. Or you can, I believe the default is just normal Notepad that it'll open in. It might also open within this little menu here. I'm not sure what the default is. It doesn't really matter. It's the same either way. So what we're going to do for this is we are going to do name. Our next section is going to be version. Next section is going to be main. And then the next section is description. So once we've done that, make sure that there are no tabs or unnecessary spaces, because you can see here, if we put a space in here, this version, this little section right here, becomes a subsection of name. So you can see, and that the little the little drop down generates so that we can collapse it. That's kind of what tells you what is a section and what isn't, is the little drop down collapsible menu. So make sure that is not there, all right? Because no spaces or anything, and tabs are not accepted in YML format. It's just not the way that they have it run. You have to do it in spaces. Usually tabs aren't really needed in most cases, but we're not going to be worrying about any of that in this tutorial. So name, call it whatever you like. This is what is going to be the actual name of your plugin. So I'm going to call mine tutorial. Version, just put the version number. For us, it's 1.0. Main. Now this is the really important one. So you can see we have our main class here. And so what we're going to do is our package name is me.paularecker.tutorial. And so we put that in here. So me.paularecker.tutorial. There we go. And then once we have that, we can put .main. So that basically tells us that, it tells the plugin that this is the main class, and this is where the onEnable loop is. So then to finish that, we have description, which all that does is it's just a short description of your plugin. I'm just going to call this my tutorial plugin. Okay, so file, save, and it should be loaded in. So you can see our plugin.yml is now in here. Make sure it is not within the source file, because that can cause problems. Now, that is pretty much it. So what we're going to do is now we're going to export this as a jar file. We are going to right-click on our project and click Export. Now, you'll get to this little menu right here. This is Select. Click Java, and then Jar File, and then Next. And now what you can do is you can browse. And I've got a folder on my desktop here where I'm storing all of my files. So, where would it go? Here we go. So tutorial. All right. So just get a dedicated file on your desktop or wherever you want to put it. Just make sure you have a dedicated file so your desktop doesn't get spammed with a bunch of jars, and you can all keep them in one place. So I'm just going to call this tutorial. Tutorial. And it will automatically turn into a jar. You can see there it does. And then finish. And then our jar is going to be in our folder. All right, so you can see the tutorial.jar we have that here. If you do not already know, this is my server file right over here. If you do not already know how to make a server, how to set that all up, I will be going over that probably in a different video, but I'm not going to be going over that in this one. You're going to go into plugins, obviously, and then these are all just a bunch of extra plugins that I've got on my server. I'll actually just move those, and then I'm going to move this tutorial.jar right into here. So now we can go in and select start.bat, and then our console window pops up, and then it should work. All right, you can see all of our stuff is loading here, and then done, and you can see our plugin is enabled, was printed to console right there, so it is working. Alright guys, thanks for watching. That just about sums it up. If you did enjoy this video, please give me a thumbs up. It tells me that you guys like this video and that you want to see more of my tutorials. I did definitely get a lot of positive feedback on my Sony Vegas Pro, my Sony Vegas Pro tutorial. Thank you guys so much for that. I did not expect to get that many views on a video that was 2 minutes long. Please, if you haven't already, please consider subscribing. I do work really hard to make these videos, put these out to you guys. And I do hope that this helps you guys out. So, for our homework, what I want you guys to do is I want you to try and print out a message that says our plugin has been disabled when the plugin gets disabled. All right? I think you guys can handle that probably. So, that just about sums it up. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you guys in the next video.